Hello, class. So, in general, I prefer texting because I can answer the person when I want. Sometimes I find that I get too busy doing schoolwork to talk on the phone. The only downside is that it can be misunderstood, and a lot of the face to face facial expression, body language is missing through text message. And I have to call the person that I text because I don't understand what the text means. Then I can hear the inflections in their voice and stuff like that that's missing over text. The lack of person to person and face to face contact is lost, like I just said. I'm sorry, I'm reading from my notes because I couldn't get Kaltura to work. In some weird way, I still prefer texting because I like to use the emojis, like the happy face and the confused face and the one going like this, the thinking face, because a lot of times I ponder other people's decisions. Anyway, the emojis can be better at explaining what a text means. My choice of mediated communication does vary with the person. For instance, my son, we communicate through mediated communication most of the time. He likes to text me or FaceTime call, which is not a, you don't see the video of the person, you just hear their voice. These are all new to me. It's usually the only way I can get him to answer me. At least I can hear his voice through the FaceTime call, but the text messaging, I usually get very short one-word answers. Yes, no, I don't know. And then I wind up calling to find out what he means by yes, no. Let's see. It does vary with the person. Like, for instance, my mother did not text at all. She couldn't spell very well. She didn't know how to put sentences together, so she was a phone call person for sure, or face to face. My friends and I text during the day when they're at work because they can't call. But of course, there's things that are so important that we can't wait to text each other through the day. Anyway, my relationship with my mother worked better over face-to-face contact. I think the younger generations prefer texting, Snapchat, and other forms of mediated communication over face-to-face. It's much less personal, and I wonder about the long-term effects on their ability to communicate with other people in real situations. Yeah, it's a concern. I wonder if they'll be able to, if salespeople will just turn into computer-generated sales videos rather than face-to-face. That may be lost in the future. Generally, I think face-to-face communication is much more effective and comprehensible than mediated. Mediated communication can get ugly if someone misunderstands the message they're trying to convey. I've had fights with ex-boyfriends over text that could have been avoided if they were face-to-face conversations. It is easier to say things over text that you would not say face-to-face. People tend to be much more bold and brave over text, and they probably wouldn't say these things if they were face-to-face. I think I'm guilty of that at times. So it affects relationships. Mediated communication can definitely affect your relationship. Because you would say things you probably wouldn't say to their face. One more thing. It's easier to hide feelings behind the text messages and other forms of mediated communication. On the opposite side, if you are upset with someone and you were face to face with them, they would probably see that on your face. Through mediated communication, you can hide those feelings. So there's nothing more congruent than face to face conversation. Overall, I spend a lot of time on Candy Crush, although that's not a form of communication. My phone is, I have it in my hand pretty much all day, communicating or playing games or through social media. I don't FaceTime other than with my son, which is maybe once or twice a week, but we text a lot because I work and he's at home by himself. So we are constantly texting through the day. I'd say I logged too many hours with my phone in my hand, and I was pretty surprised. that up to 6 hours a day, my phone is in my hand. I'm using it for communication purposes. That's a lot. Face-to-face communication happens through work. I'm a hairdresser, and I have to communicate with people. So we can't, but we do use the phone because we use the pictures on the phone to communicate what we're trying to say to each other. So that works very well in my favor. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I hope that this video makes it to you.